Yo, what's going on, CZN fam? I'm Sue, and welcome back to another How to Play video. In this one, we'll be talking about everyone's favorite baddie, Amir. Whether I'm talking about her meta viability or her appearance and attitude, I leave that to you. Anyways, in this video, I'll go over her basic gameplay loop, Epiphany choices, and then round it out by talking about memory fragments, teammates, and partners. I hope you enjoy. Amir is a combatant of the Vanguard class that functions as a hybrid of both a tank and DPS. She's often considered by most of the community to be one of the weaker characters in the game, but I feel that's probably because a lot of people don't know how to use her effectively. In order to do so, you'll need to learn how to use her signature mechanic, Metalize. Metalize is a keyword ability that causes Amir to perform an 80% defense-based attack on a random enemy whenever you generate a shield. Then your Metalize stacks are decreased by 1. Your first thought when playing Amir is probably that you'll want to build up Metalize stacks, then spam shields in order to deal damage. And you'd be wrong. I know. It was how I originally thought you're supposed to play the character and why I benched her originally. While you certainly can spam attacks by generating shields, it's usually pretty weak. The damage from basic attacks that you're getting from Metalize simply aren't really worth using. Again, usually. Don't worry, I'll explain this all a little bit later. Instead, a better way to play the character is to build up Metalize as a payoff for one of your 4 major skills that are in the character's kit. The 3 keys to success here are pretty simple. Number 1, generate Metalize stacks. Number 2, find a major payoff for your stacks that suits the current situation, whether that's damage, debuffing, or tanking hits. And number 3, spend excess stacks along with the damage reduction and resolve on shields, or find a way to loop back into more stacks for the next turn. As an aside, before I go further into this breakdown, I would be remiss to not mention Manifest Ego levels, aka dupes. Amir is a character that desperately needs dupes in order to function well, and if you don't have them, that's probably why you've been having issues. Being a 4-star, you eventually will have this character maxed out, but the character's base kit is severely hamstrung by not having at least Manifest Ego level 2. Which lets you start each battle with some amount of Metalize stacks. Ideally though, you want at least 4 dupes for this character to function. With that out of the way, let's go over Amir's basic deck so that way you understand what we're working with here. Normally, I'd start with the unique cards, but I want to highlight Amir's basic cards first. Most people, myself included, originally pegged this character as a main tank, but were sorely disappointed when they realized that there's only 1 shield in the character's entire kit. Note the 2 copies of Rapier here. This lines up more with a standard DPS loadout of 2 attacks and 1 defensive card, which should tip you off that Amir has a much more aggressive slant than you're probably thinking. She isn't like Magna or Khalipe, where you sit back and tank until it's time to shoot your shot. Amir wants to be very proactive. The starting deck conveys this, I feel, pretty well. Now, let's start with step 1 of our game plan, ways to generate Metalize stacks. Your deck starts off with 1 copy of Hovering Metal. It grants 3 stacks of damage reduction as well as 2 stacks of Metalize. Damage reduction is a stackable buff that mitigates 15% of the damage that you would take on each individual hit. So think of it as either reducing the damage slightly of 3 enemy attacks in a row, or maybe 1 multi-hit attack from an enemy that hits 3 times. Basically, it's a nice bonus, but nothing really that important. Its primary use is always to generate Metalize stacks you need for more important effects. The other, relatively similar card is Metal Extraction. Just like with Hovering Metal, this card also generates you 2 stacks of Metalize. Unlike Hovering Metal though, this card obviously has way better artwork and gives you 2 stacks of Resolve for 1 turn rather than the damage reduction. Remember that Resolve increases the size of the shields you generate by 20%. Making it more worth it to chase the extra attacks when you generate shields after playing this card. Otherwise, this is essentially your second copy of Hovering Metal used to power the other 4 skills that are in the kit. Next, let's talk about offensive payoffs, starting with Metal Pierce. This is a multi-hitting move which makes it excellent for buffs from characters like Ray in order to deal serious damage. In case you don't know, if you buff this attack, you'll get the bonus on each individual strike, allowing it to hit for some really solid numbers. It also automatically reduces your Metalize stacks by 1 to inflict 2 vulnerable stacks on the target. This will allow you to use it as a lead-in to a much more powerful attack. Speaking of more powerful attacks, the next card to talk about is Full Metal Hurricane, which is Amir's primary damage skill. It's an AoE attack that turns all metallized attacks when gaining a shield for 1 turn into additional AoE attacks. That means after using Full Metal Hurricane, any shields that you put up from your skill cards in hand, or even partner skills such as Rachel, will generate an additional AoE attack. With proper sequencing, enough metallized stacks, and some extra AP, you can easily throw out half a dozen or more AoE attacks in a turn, which will completely rip through most packs of enemies. I highly recommend the card Energy Barrier, by the way, on this character for this exact reason. The barrier generates an AoE follow-up and gives you AP to generate more metal if necessary. The last 2 skills to talk about are the defensive payoffs or metallized. Amir does not generate shields with the frequency of characters like Magna or Khalipe, but the defensive options that she does have, I would argue, are a fair bit stronger, even if they aren't always available. First, we come to her ultimate in Iron Skin. This is a 1-cost card with exhaust that reduces your damage taken for 1 turn by 20%, plus an additional 20% for each metallized stack that you have, capping at 4 stacks. It also has Finale, so your turn ends as soon as you use it. With at least 1 duplicate copy of Amir, this changes to 40% damage reduction, plus an additional 20% for each metallized stack you have, capping at 3 stacks. No matter which version of the move you have, I would hope it's pretty obvious what this move does. In case it's not though, I've painstakingly recreated this 10-plus-year-old meme in Premiere Pro for you to enjoy because, well, it's how I feel every single time I play the card.
Why won't you die? Nanomachine, son. They harden in response to physical trauma. You can't hurt me, Jack. What did I just say?
So yeah, if you manage your stacks properly, Iron Skin makes you basically invincible for 1 turn in most circumstances. If you could get a deck of Amirs that has duplicates of this move, her ability to tank hard fights gets pretty silly very quickly. If Iron Skin didn't exhaust after use, I'd put it up there with Joker as the single best card in the entire game. A well-timed Iron Skin is absolutely game-changing, as it lets you play all-out offense without a single care in the world because you know nothing is going to hurt you for that turn. Similarly, we have the other defensive payoff in Amir's ego skill, Steel Resolve. This 4-cost ego skill consumes all of your metallized stacks to generate a 120 to 150% shield based on each stack you consume and how many dupes you have of Amir. When you're playing this character properly, it's very likely that you'll have somewhere between 8 to 12 stacks at all times. This means that the shield that this ego skill generates is going to be absolutely massive, able to tank hits that normally would do half or more of your maximum health with ease. Additionally, you'll generate between 3 to 5 metallized stacks at the start of the next turn based on the level of dupes you have with this character. I found that liberally using Steel Resolve is one of the keys to success on Amir. In hands where you don't have a way to generate metal at the start of battle, simply spending your initial stacks for a small shield turn 1 to generate a bigger pile to work with on the next hand can be a great way to clean up quickly. When you already have setup cards in your hand, you'll want to conserve Steel Resolve to either tank a large hit or simply refill your metallized stacks after a long combo turn using Full Metal Hurricane. To recap the character's gameplay loop, number 1, build metallized stacks with hovering metal, metal extraction, or an early activation of Steel Resolve. Number 2, based on the situation, determine how to spend your metal. Metal Pierce for single target DPS or to set up bigger combos, Full Metal Hurricane for AoE damage or huge combo turns, Steel Resolve if you need to tank a moderately sized hit, or Iron Skin to completely blank all of your enemy's damage for 1 turn. Number 3, rebuild metal while taking advantage of the resolve and damage reduction buffs provided. Now let's move on to epiphanies, starting with hovering metal. Option number 1, like most epiphany choices, is just an enhanced version of the base effect. Option 2 gives you 2 stacks of counterattack, which synergizes well with teammates like Magna and Maribel. Option number 3 grants the Heaven keyword while increasing the cost to 2. If you play Amir with heroes like Haru, Magna, or Khalipe that use high cost cards often, this one is super worth picking up as you can passively generate metal without having to waste action points on it. Option number 4 gives you a quick burst of metal at the cost of the skill gaining exhaust. This is probably my least favorite option as Vanguards are designed for longer, grindier fights, not shorter ones, which is what this option rewards. Finally, option 5 changes the skill into an upgrade that generates one metallization stack every single turn at the cost of losing the damage reduction stacks. Personally, I'm a big fan of options 3 and 5, but I think options 1 and 2 are solid. Next, let's visit metal extraction since it's similar to hovering metal. Option number 1 is honestly bizarre to me. Number 2 is clearly the enhanced version of the base effect, but what the heck is option number 1? I can't really think of a reason you'd ever take it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the 3 resolve stacks from option 2 worth more than the shield value gained from option number 1? And option 2 also gives more metal stacks. Even switching the game's language to Japanese and asking other people, I couldn't figure out what option 1 is supposed to be. So if you know, please let me know down in the comment section below. If I ever figure it out, I'll pin it as a comment on this video. Option number 3 generates 1 additional metallized stack when you play a skill card this turn to a maximum of 2. I think if you're desperate to get as much metal as you can, and depending on who your healer is, this one can be pretty good. Option number 4 turns metal extraction into a 2-cost ability with the Heaven skill, again making it great with characters like Haru, Magna, or Khalipe. If you're taking the Heaven upgrade for hovering metal, then I definitely think you should take it for metal extraction as well. Lastly, option 5 increases the damage you deal whenever Amir attacks from generating a shield. Now normally, this is one I'd skip as the base damage on those attacks isn't particularly strong. But if you build around Full Metal Hurricane's follow-up attacks, this option can be an absolute slam dunk, allowing you to churn out several more powerful AoE attacks per turn. For the first of our 2 offensive tools, we have Metal Pierce. Option number 1 turns the move from a 2-hit attack into a 3-hit attack with better base values on each hit. Option number 2 turns Metal Pierce into 1 large single targeted attack at the cost of 2 metal stacks. Personally, I'm not really a big fan of this one as you lose the vulnerability, which is half the reason I think the move is good in the first place. Additionally, option 1 can absolutely trounce number 2 in terms of damage if you pair it with a buffer like Ray for example. Option number 3 reduces the vulnerable stacks by 1, but instead now grants you 2 stacks of Metalize. I really like this version of the effect if your build is incredibly hungry for lots of stacks, which, depending on your spec for Full Metal Hurricane, it absolutely can be. Option number 4 changes the cost to 2, presumably to work with the Heaven build, and if you recover health, it will get reduced down to 1. Even if I'm going for the full Heaven build though, I'm not really a huge fan of this one, so I usually skip it. Lastly, option 5 adds 2 weakness stacks onto the attack at the cost of 1 metallized stack. Big fan of this one as well, especially if Amir is your main frontliner, as it will reduce the damage from key targets. To recap, option 1 for damage, option 3 for incredibly metal hungry builds, and option 5 if she's your main frontliner. Lastly, we come to Full Metal Hurricane, which is debatably the most important epiphany on the character, as it drastically changes how you play her. Option 1 makes the AoE generated off of subsequent shields do more damage, making it best for builds that can spam a lot of cheap shields quickly. Option 2 changes the metallized shield follow-ups from AoE to single target attacks that hit significantly harder. This option is clearly best for fighting a single strong foe, such as a boss. Option 3 changes Full Metal Hurricane into an upgrade that activates an AoE attack at the end of each turn at the cost of 2 metallization stacks. If your build can generate 4+ metal a turn, this is a pretty reliable way to deal damage throughout a long fight and can make short work of bosses. As an aside, do not replicate this upgrade. I don't know if it's a bug or not, but as far as I could tell, this effect was not stacking in any of my testing for this video. If anything changes, check for a pinned comment down below. Before talking about option 4, let's jump over and talk about option 5 first. 5 is by far the hardest hitting option of everything here, and if you could put a buff on this 5-hit attack, it will absolutely shred through packs of enemies. That said, it comes at the drawback of no longer having the AoE or bonus damage on any attacks generated through shields. If you want a hard-hitting attack with combo potential, while still having access to an AoE shield spam, that's what option 4 is for. Personally, I almost always go for option 4 or 5 given the chance, but that's because I play a lot of Ray to buff the attack. I feel option 1 and 3 are safe options though, most of the time if you can support them. As I'm recording this video, players are finally starting to reach the endgame, so it might be time to start speculating what memory fragments are worth building on characters. That said, there's not much in the way of 4-piece sets for Amir. While she is of the order element, the Bullet of Order set doesn't really feel too good on her. It gives plus 15% damage if you could use 3 attack cards in a single turn. Amir is usually only throwing out 1, maybe 2 attacks in a turn, and then converting shield cards into bonus damage after 1 big volley. Unless the AoE follow-ups from Full Metal Hurricane work, I don't really see this being the play. So at this point, I guess you're kind of stuck with taking 3 2-piece sets since set bonuses in this game don't stack like Epic 7. It's for that reason, at least for now, I recommend 2-piece Healer's Journey for the health, 2-piece Tetra's Authority for the defense since she's a defense-based DPS, and 2-piece Executioner's Tool for the bonus crit damage. As for the right side pieces, I like crit chance for the ideal slot, order damage for the desired slot, and defense percentage for the imagination slot. Feel free to check for a pinned comment in case anything changes in this section. And to wrap up the video, let's talk about teammates and partners for Amir. A big part of choosing a team for this character depends on what role you expect Amir to be playing and what types of epiphanies you're trying to play on her. If you expect to use Amir as primarily your tank, you have a few options. If you're trying to go for the heaven-based upgrades, characters like Owen, Beryl, and Haru can make for excellent damage dealers to battery your metallization stacks. Otherwise, I've been enjoying characters like Renoa, Hugo, and Veronica to play the role of my primary DPS. If I'm expecting Amir to be my primary damage dealer, then I feel like you can't really go wrong with Magna, Khalipe, or Maribel. Khalipe lends herself more to the Heaven archetype, while Maribel is a much more aggressive playstyle. I do want to give a special nod to Magna, as I feel like Amir and her synergize extremely well together. Both of them have multiple build paths that complement one another. Amir can hold the front line and let you play a very aggressive Magna, and vice versa. You could focus on the Heaven build, some kind of AoE spam build, or honestly whatever you want. As for supports, there's 2 that I find that stand out really well with this character, and those are Rei and NIKKE. Rei's Dark Condensation grants 100% damage to each hit in a move, which makes multi-hit moves like Amir's hit for some truly absurd numbers. She also has some deck thinning thanks to snack time, and also gives quite a bit of sustain assuming you have enough dupes of hers to unlock her built-in lifesteal. NIKKE I don't really think needs an introduction, as she's most people's favorite support. She has a lot of passive healing and generates quite a lot of AP for your team. This can allow you to pull some truly absurd turns, especially if you manage to replicate a few copies of Full Metal Hurricane. I do think that Nia and Cassius can work with Amir, but I think there are some things I have to point out. If I'm playing Amir and Nia together, I'm almost always pairing them with Renoa as my third, due to her absurd synergy with Nia. I don't think Amir plus Nia plus another non-Renoa character will be quite as strong, but your mileage may vary. I do think that Cassius is a much better teammate though for Amir. That said, he does have rather poor healing compared to other supports, so I think you would have to basically play Amir and him with another dedicated vanguard, such as Magna, Khalipe, or Maribel. As for partners, Rachel is hands down your best free-to-play option. Low ego point costs skill, draw power, and the shield she makes surprisingly comes in handy for combos, allowing you to generate on-demand extra AoE attacks off of Full Metal Hurricane. You even get a counterattack chance whenever you generate a shield, which is a nice bonus. The only other option that seems worth a consideration is Erica if you have her. Erica doesn't generate barriers or draw cards, but she does give you a better chance at generating counters, and her 2-cost ego skill is a sizable AoE attack on par or better than the Full Metal Hurricane combo with Rachel. At the end of the day, I'm not really sure which is the better partner, so just use whichever one you have. And that is going to do it for how to play Amir. If I missed anything, as always, let me know down in the comment section below, and make sure you checked for a pinned comment like I said throughout this video. There are a couple of things that I need confirmation on, and when I get them, I'll put them down there. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. And if you like what I do here and want to support me further, make sure you check out the Patreon link down in this video's description. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later now.